Can you handle the truth? Because I'm going to drop some truth on you right now. Some of you already know that. You're just going to confirm it in here. We're going to drop some truth about the reality of the jail system in America and the blue line that fills it. All right? See you guys in there. You guys want to see what an arrest warrant, you want to see what a legal arrest warrant looks like, what a search warrant looks like? Well, I'm not going to show you that because one doesn't exist from my arrest, all right? This is the extent. I kid you not. This is the extent of my arrest papers. So you saw the video from yesterday, but you didn't see the video of what actually happened because my phone was stolen. Now remember, go look at my channel when this is over, Officer Pat Kennedy from Ephrata, right? Couple of weeks ago, I did a video, and I've had lots of videos of him in the past, and I call him out. He never has a good reason. He is that cop in this small town. They're all corrupt, but he's the cop that runs around just abusing and extorting, and he's the goon they send out just to collect revenue. Okay, so he's known in the community. The irony, the sad part of this is we've created a culture where people become cops because they oftentimes it's because they lack options. I think occasionally it's because they genuinely think they're going to make the world a better place. But generally I think they're just looking, they lack options, you know, like maybe they couldn't make it as something else. So like, oh, you can be a cop, right? They see an ad. So as long as you're willing to do what you're told, abuse other people, and you lack character, you can probably be a cop as long as you don't have too high of an IQ that'll question the system. That's what they're looking for in cops, right? But as a perk of this, you get society patting you on the back and saying, oh, you're a hero, thank you for your service, as long as you abuse them. But you know what? People don't really believe what they're saying. Now, Pat Kennedy, who's been doing this for years, he actually has started a small business. But can you imagine that? It's almost abuse. I almost feel sorry for these cops. He's out trying to start a small business, and he's been robbing this community and extorting the people of this community for years that he now wants to do business with. It seems like, well, how well is that going to work out, right? So they're setting themselves up for a fall. The way the police system is it gets people who lack character, who will abuse other people, and who will pretend they're heroes for it, but they're not heroes. And so it's actually setting up a culture of criminals in America that all they can do is rob people. Let me show you this. Let me flip the camera so you can actually see the document. Okay, so look at this. Now it'll be front facing here. Okay, this is it, guys. I'm in jail. I'm arrested for so-called obstruction and harassment, waiting for it to focus, and cost me, my family comes over, $2,000 to get me out. No formal charges, no charges even listed. I walk out and this is all I'm given, and I say that they're like, here's your property. Get this. The sheriff, this says search warrant inventory. Looks like it was just signed by him. I don't even think it's signed by a judge. It even looks like search warrant might be scratched out here. This is supposed to be like what I'm getting back, right? And so the deputy, right, they let me out of my little cage, my 6x8 cage. I'm like, okay, you're getting out. They made bail. They had to pay $2,000. Then I say, well, where's my phone? He's like, oh, it's probably in there. He didn't even know that Pat Kennedy had stolen my phone under the guise of evidence, right? So he didn't even know that. And you can see me talk about what we did about that and the fact that we still haven't got my phone, and basically they just say they can keep it as long as they want. No warrant, no actual information. It's actually listed in the items that the officer, the deputy at the jail, the human trafficker that works at the jail, that he thought he was returning to me. And when I questioned him on it, he's like, oh, isn't it in there? I don't know. And then he's like, oh, well, maybe he took it for evidence. They don't even know, one end doesn't even know what the other end doing, because these are like, this is like a street gang, right? It's like a street gang out committing crimes and trying to build themselves up and steal stuff from people to get vendettas, right? And speaking of vendettas, remember that video I told you about a couple weeks ago that I did of Kennedy? You can see it on this channel, okay? Here's a post a few days after that video was made from Patrick Kennedy's Facebook, okay? So this is a public post that he made from his Facebook, and in the comments at the time, people are assuming he's talking about me, right? Because the video is known in the community. So he doesn't actually say it. He doesn't come out and say it, but people kind of know. Now there's of course some people out there supporting me, which, look, guys, I appreciate your support. Just be principled about it, right? Don't go out and make threats in my name or anything like that, because that's not how I roll. I'm a man of peace. But now you have people on there, and they're celebrating this guy simply because he screwed me over. So here's the thing, right? I submit to you. You tell me what you think. I submit to you that Pat Kennedy simply wanted to get even. And he wasn't even very good. Now, when you see the video, the one that's on the phone that they've stolen, you'll actually see him arguing with me. He's mad because I'm calling him out and telling him to quit harassing and extorting like I do. He's actually arguing with me and saying, well, what about this? I did this. He's trying to argue with me about things that he did good to try and make his case. He's actually making it about him. It's not about his stop. He's in no danger. He knows I'm a man of peace and I'm not there to hurt him. He's actually arguing with me. Then he gets mad because I don't recognize his argument as valid. And so he says, I'm going to confiscate your phone. He just wants to get even. Well, touche, Pat Kennedy. You committed armed robbery. You threatened me at the point of a gun and said if I did not comply with the threat of a point of a gun and give up my person and my property to you, that even more threats and charges would be laid against me. Sometimes when you're being robbed, and let's be very clear, I'm a man of peace, but even had I defended myself, because you do have a right to defend yourself from a robber, right? But maybe it's not advisable in the case of the Blue Syndicate. Had I defended myself, I would have been murdered by these officers. You know it, and I know it. So sometimes when they want your wallet, or in this case, your phone, when they want to kidnap you, you just got to be like, okay, calm down, don't murder anybody, and go with it. Sometimes that's what you got to do. See, I love Pat Kennedy enough to tell the truth. It's not that I hate cops. I hate injustice. And this comes to the close of this, because this isn't about me, guys. This is about the system we've created. A system of turning bullies, giving them guns and convincing them they're heroes and making even bigger bullies and criminals out of them. A system of jail, right? You know what I'm about to say next. If you've been in jail, you understand what I'm about to say next. Even if you're in for a few hours. The system is designed. It's a whole workflow. It's a front to back system, right? The politicians, they create laws that create terror. They make up fake narratives, fake terror, fake problems at the border, fake problems from terrorists, whatever they can do to make you afraid. Then they make new legislature, fake security to protect you. They make laws to restrict you in the name of protecting you. And when you violate those laws and stand up for your rights or for your neighbor's rights, they say you're a danger, you're a terrorist, they lock you away. You get to the cage, and no matter how polite those human traffickers are, they're still there for the modern slave system. They get you to the cage, and it's not like they necessarily physically abuse you. They don't always do that. They've perfected it beyond that. It's immediate psychological abuse and torture. And if you have not been into a jail recently, like you can't fully understand this, okay? It is immediate darkness, even though there might be lights on keeping you awake. When they bring you to the jail, they could have you sit there and work it out, right? But they immediately lock you, take away personal effects, and then lock you in a 6x8 iron and concrete cell. Why? To isolate you, to make you afraid. And it will make the strongest person say, I'm never going to get out of here. People are literally cheering when they walk out of that jail. Even if they arrest you for something that's minor in the big picture, they know that their psychological torture is going to manipulate you into being so afraid that you never want to come back, and you'll probably just plea out, pay your fines, pay the extortion money, and be on your way. But if they have something bigger on you, they can use that fear most of the time to keep you from ever being able to go to trial, denying you your right to due process, and bullying you with multiple charges into a conviction that will send you away for years. And now the real profit begins, because they can send you to the for-profit institutions like CCA, and you are a slave to that system, literally and figuratively. Every single jail in America is meant to be psychological torture, and occasionally as we've seen with many people across the nation, physical torture. And so as they put away people from all factions, whether they're Ammon Bundys or Leonard Peltiers or Ross Ulbrights or Jeff Winehouses or Schaefer Cox or your neighbor, the native, the black, the white, it's not about faction. As long as we're fighting against each other, they, quite literally, the Blue Syndicate, can get away with murder, and they will keep doing it. They will keep handing you fake warrants, fake laws, fake charges. They'll make it up as they go. They'll rob you. They'll take your money. They'll take your stuff. They'll murder you. They'll rape your women on the side of the road. That's what the Blue Line can do in America. And just because they occasionally stop a bad guy or do a good deed does not mean they're good cops, because not one of them will stand up and defend the law. Not one of them will do it. Not one of them keeps their oath. I've had a standing cash reward for about 6 months now, and I haven't even received an application, because everybody knows, you know it, and I know it, that the jail system is for profit. It's not for justice. No one should be convicted this way. You should not be allowed to be isolated in a cell where the enforcers cannot even hear you. Remember Andy Griffith? When Barney took you to jail, he had to listen to you, and that is how it should be, especially if you're unconvicted. But even convicted people should not have their human rights abused. And you know what? There's no place for-profit prisons that enslave millions of people. We haven't done away with slavery. We've just refined it with the new Gestapo, the Blue Line, including its politicians, judges, and enforcers, and those like Pat Kennedy who are part of it. They are the worst terrorists that America faces, and they do it thinking they're the hero and with a smile on your face, and it's your job. It's your job to not be afraid, to set aside that fear, and to be willing to be that shouting voice, not allowing them to believe that they're the heroes, because our words do have power. That's why they fear them. That's why Pat Kennedy hates me, even though I don't hate him. That's why he's out to steal my stuff at the point of a gun so he can jam me up. And that's why the police in your community, when you stand, are jamming you up. And that's why they harass Josh Martinez. And that's why Ammon Bundy's in jail. And why Leonard Peltier's in jail. And why all these people all across America are locked away in a slave system. It's your job to use your voice to fix that. Because where we stand right now is no law, no rights recognized in the courts. And just like Pat Kennedy harassing me for exercising my rights, whatever crimes the Blue Line commits, they will accuse you of doing. That's the reality of America's jails and the cops that fill them.